So I need to take the wheel off to get the ball joint here, because if you remember in a previous video, the end was sheared off. You can see it's only about 12 or 13 mil. I have a feeling this broken ball joint came off this wreck I picked up some time ago. So I have one here from another wreck, and as you can see, it's a lot longer than the one that's on the car. The bush on the donor arm is falling apart, and the ball joint's also seen better days. I pressed out the old bush, then took it to the powder coaters where they blasted it and then coated it again, and then of course back to the ball joint doctor where he polymer filled and fixed the ball joint. So I now need to pull everything apart again, and luckily I haven't torqued any of the nuts up, so it's quite easy to remove because everything's quite loose. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the ball joint. You can see how much has been sheared off. And I've created myself a new problem. You can see the hole here and the hole here are different sizes. This one has 3 rings and this one only has 2 rings, and that's because I didn't press the bush out properly and it was left inside. This is an old bush that I removed before, and it has a bit of rubber on the end, and I'm hoping that will support it as I push it through to break the paint. Luckily that all held together, and I pressed the bush through and you can see what was inside. And now pressing through the bush that I am using. Putting back the tie rod that came from the other arm, and then lubricating up the bushes, and then putting everything back in position. Again, side by side, you can see how much more is protruding, about 20 mil versus the 12 mil. With the shafts and everything in place, I can now start to torque up some of the bolts that are under there to the factory specifications. I've always liked sway bars on an X19, and this one from Midwest Bayless comes with an instruction sheet, a box of bits and a bar. I'm undoing the bolt off the control arm and then installing this new bracket. Then put this bush over the strut bar. Then the bracket over the bush. Then the bush over the sway bar, followed by its bracket. Then assemble the 2 brackets together. Wiggling the sway bar into position and then assembling the bush that holds the sway bar. And now to finally tighten everything in place. The front sway bar is quite easy to install, and I'm going to install the rear one as well. I feel they work better in pairs. As I have a hoist and no exhaust system, it will be a lot easier to install. I measured everything up, then drilled a hole to put the bracket in place. And now to assemble the bush that holds the bar in place. I lowered the car onto the suspension to make sure that everything was in the correct position. Then marked out the other side for drilling. Now installing the bush that goes over the arm. Then checking to make sure all the positioning is correct. In order to get access to drill the hole, I need to remove the tie rod. I'm drilling the first hole of 2 that is needed to hold this bracket in place. You measure it up, and then once you've got the hole drilled, you put it through like this, and it should come out the other end, leaving the bolt on so you don't lose it inside the cavity. And now to tighten everything up, I've treated all the holes that I've drilled, and also just tightening up the bushes here. So final assembly looks something like this. You've got the bush and the bracket, and then you've got the bracket above there. You do have to drill into the body of the car, which is a little bit scary, but it is necessary for this modification. Now that I have the replacement ball joint in place, I can reassemble the back brakes. But next time, I'll work more on the electricals and the fuel system.